G'day there, this is Blaze Hackman, and welcome to my special presentation of what is arguably the world's best or worst extra. Depends on which way you look at it. Today I'm using OBS, it's sort of like using my streaming tools for Twitch. Twitch shout out for my channel is Blaze Hackman, Twitch TV. Feel free to subscribe there, check it out. I do a lot of workouts, gaming stream there as well, and occasionally I think you have to get to 1,000 subscribers before you can actually use your mobile device for Twitch. So on YouTube, sorry, for streaming. So I just mainly do all that on Twitch. But I use OBS when I'm streaming games and that kind of thing. I'm cheating a little bit today because the sound quality is a lot better with. I was actually gifted by a friend a Rode USB microphone, NT Mini, which is just an impressive little mic. I've got it sitting right next to me here, and then I can sync the sound later on. It's just a bit of an improvement on the Astro headset that I use there, but it's pretty good for this kind of thing, where we're going to look at, as I said, the world's best or worst extra. So a bit of background on this. I am a huge fan of the X-Files, and the reason why I watch the X-Files is obviously the science, like the monster of the week. It takes me back to the 90s when things were taking off for me. I had a lot of money, had a car, had a nice girlfriend. Everything was going really well for me back then. And then I decided to leave the situation in Canberra. For anyone internationally, that's the capital of Australia. It's kind of inland. To come to Sydney to act. And pretty much essentially started out like this guy did, as an extra, and made a lot of mistakes along the way. Went through the whole experience. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. I am sort of taking the mickey out of this guy, but I'm also feeling a lot of empathy towards him because I know I've been there, and over time through my career I went from extra. An extra, if you don't know what that is just someone who's in the background scene of a film or a TV show. They walk by. They're just warm bodies, basically. They do stuff. They get pushed around by the directors, told what to do. They don't really say anything. And then if you want to pursue an acting career, just build your way up over time. That's one way to do it. Or you can train, which is a combination of what I did. Or you can just get out of it or stay as a professional extra. Like there are some in Hollywood who are professional extras. One of the most famous ones was the guy that rolled down the steps on the set of, was it Cleopatra or one of the original 1930s Ben-Hurs? Probably got paid $2 to do it, which would have been a fortune in those days. So I really appreciate where extras are coming from. Anyway, so I do love the X-Files, and I was watching that one day, and I'm really in that show most of all, apart from the science. David Duchovny's a great actor, and so is Gillian Anderson, but it's the Scully-Mulder relationship that I really love. And I think Gillian Anderson, they're both amazing actors. The amount of dialogue on that show, the scientific dialogue, holding so many scenes, doing it for 9 years. Very talented people, but it's the chemistry that's between those two characters that I really love. And there's a few shows like that I watched over the years where, just watching the relationship form, and you want this, like, all I wanted for them to do was to get together in the X-Files. So, I've just kind of been watching it from the first season, and there's 11 seasons, and I'm up to season 3. I got through season 1, and then I think I had a break for about a year, and I've just started again, churning through them. Like once a night, I'll chuck one on, have a little laugh at the dodgy effects, and but there's some great moments in there, and there's still some really fantastic science fiction. And so this scene came up one day, and I just couldn't get over this guy in this scene. So this is for educational purposes. I'm not trying to infringe copyright here, but I do have a copy of the episode. We're going to play like a small portion of that episode so you can see what's going on here. I can take you through a bit of the education about acting and extras and what the hell's going on. So we'll just switch over to the scene itself. A bit of clunky switching here. Here we go. So here we are. We're fading up. It's coming from the network break. So a lot of these shows just have, like, they'd fade down because when they broadcast in the 90s, they'd go, across America or wherever. They whack a commercial break in there. So have a look at this scene. It's your typical funeral scene, and we've got a crane shot. So it's sort of panning across. So it's going, from right to left, and then we're zooming down, and we can establish this shot of a funeral scene. So we come down here, and what we can see is Everyone's gathered around for Mulder's father's funeral. Mulder's MIA. Scully's attended this. That's Mulder's mum there. She's doing a great job. Everyone's sort of participating here in the funeral process. This guy here's probably been nervous, rehearsing his lines for weeks. And you can see all the funeral gatherers around there. Now just look at this guy here. This is in the center of frame is Mulder's mother. And if you look just up and to the right is this guy here. So we're going to just slowly crane down. The camera would have been on a big crane here. And I've missed it. He actually comes in a bit early. Hang on, I was talking too much. Go back. Just watch this from the very beginning, because I was talking so much crap over the top of that. So we go down. There he is. You can see him kind of looking up at the crane. You zoom down. He looks straight at the crane again. Straight at the camera. Now, I don't know this guy here. Let's call him Uncle Ted. I don't know if it's his first day on set and he's nervous, or if no one at the briefing told him don't ever look straight into the camera because no one else is doing it. Or perhaps he's, maybe there's an intern there and this is his granddad. Maybe they didn't have enough people on the day. It's happened to me. Oh, can you go out and be an extra on Home and Away? First job I ever did, Home and Away, which Chris Hemsworth became famous from, right? And a few other people. And never got paid for it. Didn't know what I was doing. Had to ask the directors, where do I stand? Like 3 times. But this guy here, he wants to look at that camera. Straight into the soul of the camera. I'm going to pan down a bit. So he looks away. He's like, oh shit, I've been busted. I think Mulder's mother kind of busted him as well, because she's looking at him back of her head thinking, what's he doing, right? And we scroll down a bit more here. He's done another little furtive look then. And we keep going in. Boom. This is one beautiful soul-eating stare straight into the camera. This is a shot ruiner. This is a budget blowout. These episodes, I mean, there's just this one scene, right? There's 30 extras, probably 100 crew all up. You know, who knows what they cost in the 90s? $1 million an episode? I heard that's what Jag cost. And he's just jagged the whole scene, folks. So I don't know if he knows what he's doing or he's a narcissist. But part of me thinks, well, the producer must have seen this. And that worries me even more, because that means this was the best take. So imagine what he did in all the other takes. But sometimes you just miss these things, right? Anyway, this is just beautiful. The establishing shot of the scene. This guy here, it's what you call breaking the fourth wall. So if I'm looking off to the side, looking at the camera, right, or if I'm doing a scene, I'm talking to the person who's allegedly over here, but I'm looking right down at the camera at you, in your eyeballs, into your soul. I'm breaking the fourth wall. I'm saying, I know you're there. And either he thinks that he can see the spirit of Mulder's father rising into the heavens, and that's what he's looking at, or it's some kind of method acting thing, or he's just giving zero fucks and looking straight into that camera down the lens. Maybe he can see his own reflection right in there. I'll let you choose. We go back here. He sort of went eyes down, then like, oh shit, I've been busted. Bit ashamed of that, but let's move on. And then he goes, I'll just go back to acting. So he just does a little bit of a gaze off into this direction here, re-establishing his credentials as a extra, perhaps actor. Yep, head movement. But he wants to. The eyes really want to. I don't know if you can see here where my cursor is. It's coming up on... You see that on OBS? See? You can just see he wants in there. There's a deep need to look into that camera again and fuck this shot even harder. So, I thought it ended there. I really did. I started laughing. But it gives this episode a lot of texture with this extra. He looks back into that side. He's actually, for once, looking over this way, paying attention. Because I think the camera's right on him. Like, this would have come right up to her face. And he's now, it's so far up his nose, he just can't get away with it anymore. He has to look away, do some actual work. She's a great actor. Don't know her name, but Mulder's mother. Fantastic. And looks a bit like him. Bit of the Duchovny smile, or eyebrows there. So we're going to go into another scene here. We're cutting away. Here's Gillian walking into the scene. Scully. Now, there's Uncle Ted. There he is. Just, He's managed to place himself in the center of the frame again. And didn't do too much there, but you can see there's a little need there. He's looking at her. I get the sense that someone's come up to him, an AD, second AD, the rustler, someone who wrangles all the extras and says, Uncle Ted, you can't look at the camera, okay? We've got to move on, but please just look at you know, Mulder's mother. Empathize with her. All right. So they have a little chat here. And nice little bit of acting here. And then everyone starts to walk off, right? So then we're going to do a little bit of a movement shot, having a discussion. Everything's hunky-dory. She's just such a great actor. Both of these women are fantastic actors. And then they move off. And here's this mysterious Peter Cushing type actor. Don't know his name either, but fantastic. Got so much presence. Got a great face. Mysterious. Got a network break there. We come back again. Zoom in on this guy. Did you see that? Did you miss that? Look at this. So we come back, right, from network break. Actually, I want to go back a bit because I did spot something earlier as well. Is that there's another guy who's also a bit sus. Sorry, we're going back here. Is Sunglasses Man. Keep an eye on him as well. This Sunglasses Man, I think he's a more covert. He's like Uncle Ted, but he's got his glasses on, so it's harder to bust him. But there's a lot of voguing happening in the background there. He's really putting on his best Robert Patrick, Terminator 2, sunglasses cop, motorbike cop vibe there. There he is. Now, Sunglasses Man look down, right? He's ashamed because he's been busted as well. Uncle Ted is like a magnet looking at the back of her head because he's been told off. And this guy here, I reckon, is the security guard who's sort of off duty, and he knows they're both kind of shit. Can't do anything about it, but he'll attend to that later. So, Sunglasses Man actually he's ashamed because he looked down and to the side because it's too much for him because he knows the camera is looking into his soul. If you look into the abyss looks back into you. And that's what happened to him then. And he couldn't handle what he saw. So we move on. Scene analysis. So yeah, we went through this. So there are these women doing their fine acting skills. And then Peter Cushing turns up. Where is he? I'm so mysterious, and I have a mysterious set of eyes, and I will stare at you with my mysterious eyes and thoughtful look for some time. Network break. Now, if you go back here, this is just so beautiful. Uncle Ted makes a return. I mean, he could be, look, he's probably a lovely guy. Seems like, looks like someone's granddad, and he just keeps fucking it up. I really don't see any sort of egocentric malice. I just see curiosity about the filmmaking process, and no one's told him what the fuck to do. So we go back here, Peter Cushing, and back to network break. I know we're just looping around this one scene. So we come up. There's Uncle Ted. Once again, shoots a look at the camera, right? So he was told off before, but no, he can't help himself. He's got a look. What the fuck is that thing? Why are they using this weird camera? Oh shit, it's on me. Again. Now he looks down, keeps walking past, wipes the screen. Now look at this guy over here. Sunglasses 2. This guy on the left. Can you see him? He's got the transparent glasses, so he's kind of been busted as well, but maybe he's just acting. The girls are doing a scene. Now, he's actually had the common sense to look away at Sunglasses 1 because he knows that they're going to be on focus there, and you don't want to seem too obvious. So we go on. Scully looks a bit worried about some shit that's going to go on with Peter Cushing. She sees him. Now look at here. This is probably his finest moment for Uncle Ted. This is what's happened, right? Is that he's been told when Scully walks in, as just before this guy starts his line, we're going to call action, give it a beat, and then you move off. So you give a beat as like a pause, right? But he's thinking about it too much. And he's like, so there's a very stilted walk that happens across here. Shit, he was going to look at the camera again. They cut away. The editor has saved it a bit. But no, he sort of goes back in for the second kill. And then there we go. The scene continues. And I don't think you can... Actually, you might see him again. There's other extras wiping the frame. This gentleman here asks him to... Scully to go for a bit of a stroll. And a bit of fountain work there. Everyone else is behaving themselves. Everyone else is doing their job. And everyone else is trying to make this work because it's very expensive to make this kind of production. But is that him back there? The back left, Uncle Ted. They're talking. Yeah, he's in the middle of the fountain there. They've stopped. And he's wandering off over to the side. He could just be aimlessly wandering around the set, not knowing what to do. Because sometimes they do that in production. They won't tell you where to get lunch from. It's kind of shit. And I think that is about it. Because she just gets warned off by him. Camera pans around. Is that him again? Look. It's his last stand. His last chance at the glory. He's not quite looking down the camera, but he is just the only person left in the scene. This is probably after everyone's gone home. And it's the last shot of the day, but he's still managed to put himself there. Or not. You know what? That's about it. So the bottom line is, right, that being an extra is a tough job. It can be a tough job. And it's easy to fuck things up. And I did so on my first day. And you kind of get treated like shit. You generally... Look, there's a lot of weird people who are extras and a bit stalky. And they're distracting around the set. But for a lot of people, they get excited. But they're stuck outside all day. Sometimes they get sunscreen. In Australia, it's really hot. They get exposed. They get sunburnt. They don't get enough to drink. They just get... berated if they go to the coffee cart or if they chop in line before the actors during lunchtime. So it's a lot of money for a lot of sitting around, and it looks glamorous. It looks glamorous at the production end, but when the post-production end, but when you're actually making the work, it can be a tough gig. So 10 out of 10 points to this bloke here. We'll go back. 10 out of 10 to him for having a red hot go. I do sense the fact that he's dragged there by his nephew, didn't know what the fuck was going on, didn't get told, and wandered around the set aimlessly all day. Probably didn't even know what action was. So he was just trying to get through the day, but had a sense of wonder at all the technology that was about him. So anyway, I might do some more of these, analysing stuff. I do like watching the X-Files. There's a lot of shit films out there that we could analyse as well. Got any suggestions? Drop a suggestion in the comment section. Otherwise, that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed it. Drop us a subscribe. I'll catch you soon.